No.
Okay, this is my demonstration of the evidence-based practice using visual representation. So, for context, students have already been adding, subtracting, and dividing within 1,000, or within the thousands, rather. And so, we're going to pick up, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate how we're going to use a visual representation for this particular word problem. Okay, so Jenny just got her first check after working 2 weeks. She spent $600 on Beyonce tickets, and she has $1,600 left. How much did Jenny make? So that is our first question. How much did Jenny make? So let's draw a rectangle to represent Jenny's pay after her first 2 weeks. Okay? This is how much Jenny made at 2 weeks. Now, she spent $600 on Beyonce tickets. So let's take some of this money off the top and say, uh-oh, that money is gone. She spent that on Beyonce tickets, and that's $600. Okay? And she has $1,600 left. So we know this is $1,600. So how much money did Jenny make? Jenny made this $1,600 plus this $600. So we need to put these two together. And so we can do that. We can write it clearer over here. 600, and we're going to line them up good, and 1,600. And 0 plus 0 is?
0.
And 0 plus 0 is?
0.
6 plus 6 is?
12.
12. And what are we going to do with that 1?
Bring it over.
Bring it over. And then 1 plus 1 is?
2.
2. Very good. So how much money did Jenny make?
$2,200.
$2,200. Now, look, there's another part to our question.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go back. How much does she make a week? So now, let's erase a little bit. We know this is what Jenny makes in 2 weeks. And we know this is $2,200 or $2,200. This is how many weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And so we're going to cut this in half to figure out 1 week. So how could we do that with an operation? What operation will we use to cut it in half?
Division.
Division. And so this is going to be a simple one because it's going to be 2,200 or 2,200 divided by how many weeks?
2.
2 weeks. And 2 goes into 2 how many times?
It goes into 2. 2 times. Once.
1. So 1 times 2 is 2. Bring this one down. Oops. Sorry. I'm running out of space here. But then 2 goes into 2. And so we'll have 2 again. And then 2 goes into 0. 0 times. So she makes $1,100 a week. But you see how we use this visual to help us figure out what's important in the word problem, to help us see the big picture. You can stop. All right, so you know I've been talking about how we are about to get into this book, Cast. Of course, we are doing the young people version by Isabel Wilkerson, and we will be looking at the movie by Ava DuVernay. But I wanted to teach you something called the Freyer model, which helps you make sense of some of the new ideas and terminology that you may come across as we're reading the book. So I wanted to start with one we already know. What does oppression mean?
I'd say depression means unjust treatment.
unjust treatment, but not just unjust treatment like one time. It's prolonged. It's something that happens over time. Can anyone give me some examples of oppression?
An example of oppression would be racism, sexism.
Yeah, racism, sexism, heterosexism, colonialism, classism.
What's classism?
Classism is discrimination and oppression based off how much wealth you have. And colonialism is about one group of people taking over another country that already has inhabitants. So if you think about the British Empire, at one point in time it was considered the empire on which the sun never sets, because Britain had control of India. It had control of lots of countries in Africa, in Asia, and the United States, and over here in the Western hemispheres too. And so, and when you look at the legacies, sometimes in some African countries, the language taught in schools is English rather than the native languages. And so that type of oppression is considered colonialism. So you would use a Freire model to say, okay, here's what this thing means, here are some examples, and then here are some non-examples. So what might be some things that are the opposite of oppression?
Giving people like freedom to do what they want.
Freedom, liberation. Very good. Freedom, liberation, different types of rights. And then you can add some characteristics or some things directly from the book that illustrate what oppression is or is not. So since we just watched or we just finished reading, I can't think of anything right now, but we could give some different types of characteristics. So here is oppression. But now we're going to, I need a wipe or something. I'm going to use a towel. We're going to do this for the title of the book we're reading.
Caste.
And we are going to continually build this as we read the book. I'm going to put caste right in the middle. Now, what do you think a caste is?
Well, if I think...
Okay, guys. So, we have pen pals at the high school. And so we have to send them letters so that they can send some back to us. And so today we need to plan out what we're going to say in our first letters to our new friends at the high school. And so we're going to use a strategy called POW. Everybody let me hear you say POW.
Pow!
Let me hear you say it again. POW.
Pow!
Okay, POW. I'm going to put it on the board. P-O-W. Now, sometimes POW stands for a prisoner of war. But in this instance, it says we're going to pick our ideas. We're going to organize them. And then we're going to write them down. So let's begin to brainstorm together. What are some things we might want to say in our letter to our friends at the high school?
Maybe... so are we thinking like what's the letter about gonna be?
Right, what's the letter gonna be about? So this is your first letter to your pen pal. So what are some things you might need to tell him or her or them about you?
Well, since I'm in middle school, I'd probably ask them like a little bit like what high school is like.
So you might want to ask them what high school is like. Okay, that's an idea. What is high school like? But what might you need to tell them before you start asking questions?
Hi, I'm Elijah.
You need to tell them who you are. What else might you tell them?
I might tell my high school friend, well, since I know they're in high school, they should know I'm in middle school as well.
Well, yeah, so tell them where you go to school. What else?
Maybe like some of my hobbies so I can figure out what we might have in common.
Hobbies and interests, very good. And so now we got a few ideas. Let's begin to organize them. So as we think about our letter, do we want to begin our letter with Dear, let's say Jack. Dear Jack, I'm really into Dungeons and Dragons. Does that make sense? Or should we start off like, Dear Jack, my name is Brandy and I go to blank middle school. What do you think should come first?
I think the second one.
So you might want to start off with like who you are as an initial. You stop.